Welcome back to The Line. This week, the Albuquerque Journal reported on a sting to identify minors who were being trafficked for sex in the Albuquerque area. It appears that different law enforcement agencies have very different approaches in how they handle those cases. And Mary, you report on justice issues for the AP. How difficult is it to get information about potential trafficking here in New Mexico? Because it seems like something's bubbling here. We're led to believe it's bigger than we actually know or that's actually been reported. But how difficult is it to get reporting on this issue here in New Mexico?
It is hard to find data to measure the problem, I've found. But I thought that this weigh-in that the Journal took was really a great analysis of the issue and kind of looking at maybe what is a common sting operation across the country. And finding like something in there that was touching on a much bigger issue and a broader discussion that is going on in this community.
Now you mentioned, I didn't realize that tactic of what they had done is gone to some of those back page type ads and brought about a dozen young women in, and the counties, their approach was to send them to some services, to get things going. But the city's idea, the quote was, we'll put them in jail for a little bit to get them away from the situation so they can think about some things and then go get services. That's not a terribly different approach, but it seems like in the nuance of it, what does it show you?
Well, I mean, it definitely, it just was very interesting to me. I think, we're in a place in this country where criminal justice reform is such a big topic, and petty misdemeanors is a part of that, and prostitution is a petty misdemeanor. I think that by and large, I think maybe because of the philosophy that it's a victimless crime, and the victim is actually, in a lot of people's opinion, the person being arrested or charged or ticketed. What got my interest the most in reading it is that the city had just months ago said that they were going to scale back on these exact types of arrests because prostitution is within the realm of petty misdemeanors under the McClendon settlement agreement. And so what we saw in this story is that maybe sometimes APD is still making arrests of women on prostitution charges at a scale that I think at least could be measured by the Journal and compared with the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office.
Interesting distinction there, exactly right. How did it strike you, Andy, as well, this difference in approach? Because again, I could see both approaches. If the goal is to get somebody into services, I can see both approaches, but is an arrest necessary for a petty misdemeanor, so to speak, to get to that point?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to talk about that same settlement. I feel like maybe APD might be hurting themselves by, the APD spokeswoman said, look, we're taking him out of the situation, putting him, we're detaining them so that they can think about what's happening. What's not mentioned, what she doesn't say is that they still have a court date. They still may be in jail. That same settlement talks about overcrowding of jails. I'm not saying that these women are going to set it over the limit, but I think that it does do the same thing. They take them out of the situation, but now these women have a court date. They have a charge on their record, as opposed to sending them to a treatment center or a place to kind of lay low for a little bit.
And as Mary mentioned, Tom, ostensibly our chief, Gordon Eaton, had laid the edict down to say, look, all these types of charges, there's another way to do this. But I'm wondering if the rank and file has actually heard that, if this is their approach. But let's concentrate on the county for a second. Is this not a ray of hope here that there's some folks understanding that treatment is the issue and getting people into services is the issue, getting to root causes? Because nobody just wakes up one day and says, you know what, I'm just going to be a prostitute today and just kind of carry on. You know what I mean? These things happen.
I thought the coverage of how Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office is addressing their approach to how they're working with sex workers is really fascinating, because it's not the it's an atypical kind of approach. You'd think, oh, you book them and book everybody involved and throw them all in jail and deal with it. But they're really taking more of a holistic approach. I think that it's kind of interesting that I'm not sure in this particular case if it was the Attorney General's office or who the lead entity was. But I think when you look at it from a holistic perspective, and you add the FBI in there as well, because they have a very active and very successful crimes against children unit that focuses on internet predators. And so when you add in the AG, the FBI, City of Albuquerque, and even Bernalillo County, they all have their own different kind of role in all of this. The AG is going after, the Johns, so to speak. APD is going after the workers. BCSOs taking more of that holistic approach, saying how are we going to help the workers, find a way out.
That's right.
And so, I'm, while I'm chagrined to a bit to go, wow, Bernalillo County, good job. You're really getting this. It's kind of interesting to see how they all kind of, take different aspects of this particular problem.
Interestingly, Laura, the idea behind the county's approach here is to rescue girls that are potentially being held in motels around the city. And how the sting was set up, the part that makes everyone's stomach turn, is there was an ad placed for Johns, ostensibly, that you could have sex with a 15-year-old girl and then see who showed up and then arrest. I know it's amazing to think about, but a lot of cats showed up and they got arrested, and that's not a bad way to go to get these kind of guys, removed somehow. But again, if the idea is to rescue young women who may be powerless to rescue themselves, an okay approach for you? Is this a good way to do it?
Absolutely. I mean, I will praise the county, the sheriff's department for doing this, and I think again it goes back to leadership.
Right.
And I think Manny Gonzalez is obviously has a broader approach to the issue, taking into account the societal cost to this. And I think that if you look at that, that area, sex workers are not, they have to reach a level of desperation, and many of them, are drawn to people who are protectors. They're pimps. They're exchanging, this work for protection when really they're entrapped in the situation. And I think it's a recognition that it's a broader issue than just sort of a one-time arrest. And I think the problem with the APD approach to this, and I think it comes from the law and order all the way up from the mayor to the chief of police and then down to the rank and file. But you're booking people and they're creating an arrest record. There's additional costs associated with it.
That's right.
The chances of them actually being able to come back and actually defend themselves in a case is
Now you get another
slim
layer
to
of
none.
problem, personal
and then
problems.
you
That's right.
take into account a public defender maybe being involved and their caseload. I mean, it creates a lot of additional costs to the county, to the city, to the state to go that route rather than just trying to address the issue the way that the county is doing, which I think is probably in the long run a money-saving approach rather than clogging up our criminal justice system with the APD approach.
That's right. Good point there. Mary, as a reporter covering this beat for a while, what unanswered questions do you have about this issue that you'd like to see covered more in the press? What do we need to know as the public out there as you report on these issues? Is there something being underreported here to you?
I think as hard as it is, because they are very often victims, is kind of highlighting the lives and the stories of these women, or kind of working with like the fact that you touched on it. Very rarely is someone entering the prostitution business by choice. Right. It's kind of, even if they're not, say, kidnapped, it's a series of things and drug addiction that leads to them falling into this trade. And I think that is worth some more exploring by the media in this state to kind of stir the conversation around this issue, especially if it does feel like it's starting to kind of percolate a little and bubble up.
It is getting a little bit of traction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things are sort of bubbling up, Andy, a little bit. But same question for you. What's out there that you'd like to see reported on more as you guys make your editorial decisions at your shop?
I think Mary nailed it, that I don't think that we have the answers or anybody has really looked, and it's hard. It's not easy to do to actually go and talk to some of these women and find out how they got there, because again, even if they would say, yes, it's my choice, I did this by choice, there's other circumstances that they maybe thought that they didn't have another option. So the question is, did they really get into it by choice, or were there circumstances leading up to this?
And they'd be able to profile young women. That's an interesting idea to me that Mary just mentioned as well, because I would read that in a heartbeat to find out what's...
And it's difficult, right? I mean, you have to really, as a reporter, gain the trust of some of those people to encourage it, tell them why we're writing the story, not that we're just looking at you in a fishbowl and pointing and oogling, but to find out what the problem is here.
That's right. The underbelly of life sometimes, it can be really scary. No matter where you live, no matter what city, it's amazing. That's all the time we have on this subject.